Hello, Michelle Cohen here, and I'm going to go over my inquiry question I had. So my question was, what happens when SSR time is used to read short stories? SSR is an acronym for Sustained Silent Reading on a Choice Novel. I wanted to research this question because my students say they are reading on their own, and then I get 20 projects on The Hunger Games, The Maze Runner, or The Outsiders, books that they did not pick to read independently in my class. Right now, SSR time is an unstructured time where the students are encouraged to free read without instruction. This is a time that they use to get a break from structured learning that we do in class. However, these students use this time as their bathroom break, a chance to visit the library to get another book, or even a good way to check up on social media in class by being a fake reader. I teach English 3 CP to juniors. The classes are inclusion classes with a mix of regular and special education students. 2 classes are reading short stories for SSR, or Sustained Silent Reading Time, and the other 2 classes are reading novels that were made into movies. I teach 94 students over 4 classes. 35 students are special education students with IEPs. The students will be taught as whole groups, and I will give the students the opportunity to read silently for 25 minutes each class period for 1 week. I wanted to see if altering the unstructured SSR times makes students better readers. I would like to see if reading short stories changes the students' attitude about reading, as many are non-readers right now. Also, I wanted to see if students can successfully answer comprehension questions about a story knowing that they are reading a shorter passage. My goals: I have 3 small goals for this inquiry. I want to have students increase reading time over the week. I want to have students better comprehend text, and have students give their opinion on reading short stories versus reading a novel. There are 3 objectives that align to my goals. I want to see if reading short stories instead of a novel interests readers to read more. I want to see if students can answer comprehension questions correctly after reading a short story, and I want to see if the students have their reading stamina improve over the week by reading every day. In addition, I used some theories from the constructivism theory. This was Rosenblatt's transactional reader's response theory from making connections. I wanted to see if students can make connections to themselves from the text, and also with their response journals from their reading comprehension questions. In addition, I focused on a daily focus skill from I Read It But I Don't Get It from Chris Tovani, and I used post-it notes to make text connections and also wondering questions. I let the students read and then recorded what happened. The article I used was called R5 for SSR Time. This was called R5, This is Sane Silent Reading Makeover That Transform Readers by Michelle Kelly and Nikki Clausen-Grace. They were seeking to restructure SSR time in a period of their class for 3rd graders. The 5 R's are read, relax, respond, reflect, and rap, or talk to their elbow partners about the book. I had to use an R4 approach, so we did read and relax. The students were allowed to put up their feet, sit anywhere. There were rules: no phones, bathroom breaks. There were no bathroom breaks either, and if they forgot their story, they could pick a new one. And then I also did reflect and respond. For homework, they had to write down what they were reading in a reading log, and then also they had to respond to their reading with comprehension questions. Also, I did not have time for them to respond and talk with the rap part with their seat partners. There was just no time. The timeline: the students were introduced to SSR time by giving 2 classes choice novels to read. The books they chose must have been made into a movie. The other 2 classes were given short stories to choose from. Next, the rules of SSR time, such as no bathroom breaks and everyone must have something to read, were introduced. Each day of the inquiry, I proceeded like this. I conducted a mini lesson on using post-it notes to set a purpose for the reading. I had the students read for 20 minutes while I recorded if the student was reading or not. For homework, they had to answer comprehension questions based on Bloom's taxonomy. And then during the last day, I asked the students if they liked the books or short stories better, and their answers were surprising. Here are some short stories that I gave the students to read. I gave them about 20 options in all. Here are some sample reading questions that I pulled from Bloom's taxonomy. Each day I give the students 6 comprehension questions that would let me know if the students are getting it. Here are some of the questions. So the results of my modified are 5. So day 1, the students were sitting quiet and reading their short stories and had general great interest in a few stories like The Sniper and Barney. On day 2, the students started asking for the shortest story. And on day 3, students asked for the questions while reading the story to get the assignment done quickly. On day 3, there was also more talking, more phones, more sharing, but no bathroom use. This was also their Friday of the week because the students were off on this Friday. I gathered interest in data about my class. The biggest issue was talking, especially on day 3. The students tried to read and listen to music at the same time. This could be a research question on its own, I think. Students put their head down and I was there re-cueing most of them to get back on task or offering another story. One student even mentioned he picked up the story because he read it already. These are some normal daily things that I have issues with in the class already. These were not introduced just because they read stories. Because of some of these issues, I made some changes along the way during the week. After day 1, I gave them more stories to read. After day 2, I asked the students what they would like to read, and they said they want to read true crime stories or stories about gangs, some Grimm's fairy tales, and stories empowering women. Now here are some results. I have text connections here, and I like how they're connecting the stories to other texts that they read. Some connections to the stories are to Of Mice and Men or to A Rose for Emily. Others connected the short story The Snipers to playing the video game Call of Duty. One student who read The Lady or the Tiger thought of a dilemma when she had to choose between her mom's home cooking or spending time with her grandmom. On the right, students relate the poison in the short story Barney to the poison scene in A Rose for Emily. Here are some sample I wonder questions that I liked. The students went beyond the text and they thought of the deeper issues inside the story. Their reading responses were great. Here is a student that would cast Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad to play the mad scientist on Barney. He would also cast the rat from Ratatouille. Here is a student who compared the scientist in Barney to a scientist in Mockingjay. Oop, and not this slide, sorry. This right here is student drew an excellent scene from The Mask of the Red Death. And here is where the student compared the scientist to Barney to a scientist in Mockingjay. They really liked the story Barney because it was short, and almost all of my students chose that story at one time. Not everything was great. I did experience some doozies in class. Here we have a fried egg. I'm not sure. It's a house I do not know. And one of the students, like this girl, did not get that Barney the rat actually killed the scientist in the story. They all thought that the rat died because it was very confusing, I think. They had to look deeper into that one. There also was some sharing going on, and I noticed that students turned in the papers together and they copied from each other, and one student even copied the wrong day. What this shows me is that some students did not care for the assignment or that they did not like books or stories. They wanted to get back to talking to their friends. I did have some roadblocks during the way. You're probably wondering about the students that read books. In my other class, my co-teacher, she just graduated last year and does not share the same love for SSR as I do. After day 1, she did not allow time for SSR. Instead, she used this time to hand back papers or conference with students. Students would perceive that SSR time is an opportunity to get chores done. On day 3 of my project, she did not allow the students to read, and we started a new vocab unit. Other roadblocks I had, These were the questions that I had to use with the readers. In the end, she did not allow me to use my comprehension questions as she thought hers for the week were good enough. She did admit, though, that one question did not show any comprehension at all, and she agreed that we could have used some of my questions in place of hers. One question was, how do you like the book so far? The students said, I like the book, or I felt neutral about the book. This does not tell me anything about comprehension. But the students also comprehended just as well. Only I had one day where the students got all my questions. They did get the questions for homework. I said they did quite well on them, and mostly they had thoughtful answers. They were asked if a character would attend their high school, what would they be like, and what classes would they take. And some students said that Augustus Waters from The Fault in Our Stars would be very popular and outgoing, and his favorite class would be English. Hugh Glass from The Revenant would like woodshop class because he likes to build things, and Andrew Carnegie would be a leader and not follow others, and he would like to take accounting classes. My reflection, some students see reading as an activity. Hold on, we're going too fast. Some students see reading as an activity that they must complete in a short amount of time. They also look for the shortest story to read, which may not be the easiest. Perhaps they thought of choosing a short story should be short, and therefore they will not spend a lot of time on the assignment. I also learned that students will have more interest in stories if they have a hand at picking the material. Through this process, I also learned that one quiet student in class writes stories and publishes them on Wattpad, and I thought that was very interesting that he wrote that down. Some new questions that I have. Can listening to music while you read hinder comprehension? Would I get similar results if the students were free to read online? And was this too rushed and that's why they were talking in class? And how can I make more authentic reading responses so they won't cheat? Most importantly, here are my results about students reading the books. So I asked my 5th period class, which is a mix of boys and girls, what do you like better? And 15 students reported that they like books better versus 6 students. They liked stories better, and 5 students did not vote in this poll. For my class with mostly boys, 4 students said that they liked books, and 21 students said that they like short stories better. What I ultimately learned is that no matter what, my students were given the opportunity to read for something fun for at least 50 minutes this week, and students like choice in what they read. You can give them guidance, but don't force them to read one format over another for SSR time.